for me, theory means nothing if this is not useful to help people in the real life.
Welcome back, everybody. Rich P. Baker, Shanghai-based social entrepreneur in Jakarta this week, meeting with an amazing array of individuals. Speaking with Maria today at CECT. It's a group that's been around for 17 years now, focused on educating, sustainability, and community entrepreneurship. Had a great talk to an academic about what it means to be entrepreneurial and kind of understanding how to take the theory and put it into practice. So Maria, thank you very much for taking time to meet with us. Introduce yourself to the community here. Who are you, what's your background, and what are we doing at the university here?
So I'm Maria Rosalind Indita Radiati. I'm the founder of Master Degree Program of Sustainability and Master Degree Program in Community Enterprise. My mission is actually educating private sector about sustainability and social entrepreneurs on how to make their business or organization sustainable.
So you're an academic by background?
Yes, I'm an academic by background, but my principle as an academic is that for me, theory means nothing if this is not useful to help people in the real life. I always want to connect between theories and real practice. Theory must be useful to make people's life a lot easier.
A lot of academics tend to be quite removed from the market and from the reality. So if your goal is to take theory and turn it into practice, how do you as an individual get out into the market here and make sure that what you're teaching your students is practical?
Because I had relationship with professors from many different countries, I asked their advice on the draft of curriculum that I developed, and they were very kind to give me input. I then designed the curriculum, finalized the curriculum, and then I trained lecturers about sustainability, about CSR, and then I connect each subject, all subject with social responsibility. For example, social responsible human capital management, social responsible marketing, social responsible finance.
When you're starting though, a lot of those cases, a lot of those articles, a lot of those books would have been from the West.
Yes.
So how applicable were those cases to the local context at the time?
Because of my belief that theory must be applicable, then I said to myself, if I can design the curriculum, I should be able to apply the curriculum in the real practice. I think about why not I make CECT as a consultant for CSR and sustainability for companies.
Okay.
While I was thinking about that, suddenly a company, a nickel company, multinational company, called my staff. Can you please conduct in-house training about CSR and sustainability? And then my staff asked me, and I said, yes, I can.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, if I can design a curriculum for master degree program, yeah, I should be able to do that for in-house training. Then I started to conduct, the in-house training, and I collaborated with some friends. After that, then it developed into providing services for CSR. Like, for example, can you design CSR program for the communities? Can you help to do that? And because I know the theories that you must conduct social mapping and blah, 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 that's what I did. So I started with social mapping and everything. So the clients, thank God, were very happy. And then I use the real cases from my clients in the classroom.
Okay.
So that's how it all started.
You bring practicality that way.
Yeah, so and then I designed the tools for my clients using theories. And then I tested the tools to my clients. Of course, they improve and etc., doing some improvement, and then I use the tools in the classroom. So that's how I connect between theories and the practical life.
Training corporate is very different than training students, be it undergrad or grad. So what were the early lessons you learned inside the boardroom, the training room, that helped you in the classroom?
So it's not about know what. Know what, you just Google it.
Yeah.
I want to share with them know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Process. Know how you need to study. That's what I'm doing. And then I also have opened my mind to listen to inputs from my friends, from my network, from my colleagues. Of course, there were times when they say, Maria, you're teaching to theoretical. You need to develop a practical. Then I just like to think and then imagine, use my imagination to develop the tools.
What are the important topics right now in Indonesia when it comes to sustainability?
Climate change,
Right.
That's number one. Of course, number two is the poverty. There are many poor people in Indonesia. That also applies to private sectors.
Right.
They don't know how to help the poor. They don't know how to create CSR programs that will become, or when they finish the program, exit strategy. They don't know how to design the exit strategy so that they will leave sustainable impact.
But are more and more Indonesian firms developing strategies that are innovative?
But now they are becoming more and more aware of how to do good CSR, ISO 26000, for example, as the guidance. And of course, now we are lucky to have SDGs because they are clear indicators of sustainable development. One way of educating companies and forcing to do the right way is by developing CCC Sustainability Awards.
Okay.
So it's been 5 years now. So what I'm doing is to invite companies to join our competition, CCT Sustainability Award, but it is for free. But it is purely based on research. We invite them to submit evidence, but we give them frameworks. So now I can see that the trend is getting better and better because then they now develop a roadmap of sustainability, and then they design long-term community development programs, and they measure the impact that they have created.
So there's progress.
Yes, that's right.
I want to back up really quickly back to your to the awards. You mentioned the framework and measuring. What are some of the key things that you want to measure that you think are the most important when assessing the quality of a sustainability program or strategy from one of your awardees? What are the key things that you're looking for?
Of course, we need to know the process of designing the community development programs or CSR programs.
Okay.
Do they do it by project, like short term, or just to look good, or they are doing it in a strategic way? It is very important to see the evidence that they have measured the impact that they have created to the communities and to the companies, and also the lessons learned. Because usually what they put in the report is just the output, not the outcome, you know, and then there's no lessons learned there. But I need them to provide evidence. They also measure the impact to their company. So we, as you know, the creating shared values. Strategic CSR must create shared values, good values to the beneficiaries, and also good values for the business. Unless they can provide that, the board of directors will not support them.
We were doing this with AmCham years ago up in Shanghai, and we had a very similar, we had like, you know, kind of a scorecard to have 8 to 10 constraints. We're trying to understand event versus program, measure impact, things like that. 10 to 15 years ago, we found that basically a lot of firms are doing very one-off things, and they're trying to compete on like what looked better, what was more innovative at the time. Now we're seeing a little bit more, people got tired, they want to see a real return, they want to see things that change. What are you seeing here? Is this very similar pattern, or are firms really still stuck in events, or were they always in programs and they just looked at it differently? Like, what's the context here for you guys?
Of course, there are companies who are still doing CSR just to look good. You know, just giving donations, providing training, or maybe mentorship for communities only less than a year, take photos, and then, you know, invite media and things like that. Of course, there are still many of those companies doing that. But now, like big companies now start to realize that we have spent so much money and there's no sustainable impact, you know, for the communities. And then they start to think, when are we going to exit from these programs, you know? How long we should be with the communities because now the changing of the BODs, and then the new BODs started to question, So what's the impact? We're not a social organization. We are companies. So what's the impact for the business?
In building my NGO, I found that that's actually a really great way for an organization to develop real depth, actually. So you do something that's event-based, and eventually you find something that you like, and you kind of, the wiggles get a little bit less, and you kind of stabilize it, you make it an operation. At some point you need someone to go, all right, look, that's great, but I want to do something different. And then they add, and they iterate, and they add, and they iterate, and they add. And that kind of creates strategy. Talking about your students, you've been doing this for 11 years, 11 for one and 7 for the other. What were your early students interested in doing or learning when they came to this program? Like, what sustainability was not something that people studied back then. So what drew them to this course as a starting point 11 years ago?
I didn't call it master degree in sustainability 11 years ago because people didn't know about sustainability at all. So I call it master degree in CSR, corporate social responsibility / sustainability. At the time, the CSR issue was very big in Indonesia because there was one company that did something wrong. The government then created a law that all companies must do CSR. So people came here because they want to learn about CSR, and also, to be honest, because of the marketing strategy, I put the tuition fee very low,
Sure.
So to attract, attention, and then some people wanted to get master degree.
How are your students different now? Like, are they younger? Are they more professional? Are they looking for different things? What's the trend been?
So now the students are more professionals. All of them are actually directly dealing with CSR and community development activities.
And what are they hoping to do when they leave here? Like, are they going back to their company and trying to improve compliance or develop new markets, or what are you seeing?
So I'm seeing that many of those who graduate here, they finish the study and they are promoted to become CSR manager, sustainability director. So they, like you said, they come back to their companies and they make change. Thank God that they come back to us, to CECT, and then ask our help first to educate their board of directors, the leaders. Please brainwash my bosses to understand that CSR and sustainability are long-term investment, and tell them how to measure their investment and then why it should be long-term. What are the global understanding, global agreement on CSR and sustainability? So starting from education for the leaders, and then to the staff.
So then, would you say that the average sustainability director, CSR manager here is kind of a lonely person in the organization? Or is this becoming something where they're core and they're valued and they feel really good about their work right now?
In big companies, usually their work are highly valued. Many of them got really promoted into vice president, I'm so happy, so grateful for them. But those who are working in still like family business, like small companies, they are still struggling.
How do you view success for the work that you're doing as an academic, trying to really build the foundation for sustainability in Jakarta and Indonesia?
Success for academician is actually able to link between theories and practice. And I have proved that I'm quite successful. I'm very happy with my achievement. I'm grateful. I would love to share to other academicians how I do it, because I think my principle is kind of like proven that theory must be able to help other people to live their life a lot easier. But there's something that I haven't achieved. Of course, I need to write more academic, articles.
Right.
Yeah, to publish more.
Okay, so that's the traditional way of measuring success.
Exactly,
right.
So
you still have to do that.
I have to. I thought I didn't have to do that, But then, my bosses, my colleagues, they say to me, Maria, you should already become professor now because you have so many things to write. But academic writing is totally different with, application or popular writings.
Do you view that as important though?
I didn't think it was important, but because the main campus starting to look at me as, if you don't become professor, then you cannot contribute. It will be very difficult for you to contribute more to the university. So it's just actually my own choice,
Yeah.
If I can choose, I don't need to become professor. I'm very happy with what I've done.
What are 3 tips you'd give another academic to achieve the success that you have to date?
Really educate, not just teaching. You really need to have a passion that the student get totally understanding and they also know how, not just know what. Because just ask Google.
Yeah.
Know how. If you know how, then that's great, because that means number 2, you need to try to apply the theories into practice. And the third is you need to be able to be an entrepreneur. For me, it's not easy to become an entrepreneur.
Sure.
But when you become one, it's really awesome. I really enjoy being an entrepreneur, I really enjoy it. When people buy your service and people know you and people know your credibility and then they come to you, Maria, could you please ask my company to do this to you? It's just, go back again to number 1, passion. Those are the 3 things.
Well, thank you very much for your time.